What has been holding VGK back from developing defensemen? We tell you all about it next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to today's show. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. I opted to go the corny route there with the open today.
As opposed to what?
Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights, and you could find us wherever you get your podcast, and go on X and find us at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, at Locked On VGK. Today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. So, Chris, this past week, VGK announced that former Golden Knights player Nick Holden, longtime NHL defenseman, after he retires, after 12 seasons at the NHL level and toiling around in the AHL and what have you, that he retires. And then Holden was quickly named right after that, something perhaps that's been in the works for a while, that he will be now with the VGK player development staff. And he will be working, I should say, with the team's young defenseman with the AHL, Henderson, Vegas Silver Knights. Is this a position, do you feel, that perhaps VGK created for him? I don't know that they've had something like this before, and they surely have not had anyone the caliber of Nick Holden, right, that could be in this position, that could really teach a lot to these younger players. VGK actually, I mean, we have to be honest here, because when you go back and you look through the current roster, VGK hasn't really developed a defenseman here that could be a regular everyday player since they've been here in Southern Nevada. You have 3 former Chicago Wolves that are starters, blue liners, Shea Theodore, Nick Hague, and Zach Whitecloud. And so we have to ask, who is up next? I think it's an excellent hire for the VGK. And I said that I had this feeling, and we've talked about it on the show repeatedly, that the Golden Knights now are putting a heavier emphasis on the AHL Henderson Silver Knights.
So I think you forgot about that Nick Hague dude that the Golden Knights drafted and developed and is
in
now
Chicago.
No, but he was drafted by the Golden Knights still, and he was with the Chicago Wolves, which was the affiliate of the Golden Knights in the first 2 seasons before the Silver Knights became the Silver Knights.
But bro, 2018,
it takes a while.
Seasons. Okay.
It takes a while. I mean, the Golden Knights haven't, besides the Cody Glass pick, they haven't had any early draft picks where you might get these players that develop instantly. But, Pavel Dorofeev is just starting to scratch the surface now. Brennan Brisson is still how far away from scratching the surface right now, but he's also a higher draft pick. Zach Whitecloud, he was undrafted, right?
He was undrafted. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so same thing. That is a homegrown, developed talent right there. So the first thing you said, I started typing away. I was curious here, and then you said a couple other things that distracted me. But
good.
Going back,
that's my goal on this show. As you know.
Made a comment that the Golden Knights haven't had anyone to develop within the organization. I'm still within the organization, but
no, organization's cool. And it shows that we're closer to the start of the season.
There you go. What about Derek England? Like, why wouldn't this have been a role for him to possibly take? Derek England, the first ever Henderson Silver Knights game day coach unofficially during the COVID era.
Unofficially. Yeah.
So, but Derek England also has other roles within the team on the charity side, ambassador side,
I've always
and
wondered.
also,
I've wondered. Yeah, I've wondered why he hasn't found a better position or different position.
well, I mean,
He's doing community service stuff. Yes, I agree.
but we don't know where his mindset is. We don't know what Derek England wants. He, had a season or had a career of, I actually just pulled it up, a career of 720 NHL games between the regular season and playoffs. So, on to Nick Holden for a second here. 650 regular season games, 55 playoff games. So, dude has seen a thing or two in his time with going back to Syracuse in the AHL. Shout out to my favorite barn ever in all of hockey, the War Memorial. I forgot what it's called in Syracuse.
Auditorium? I think it's an
It
auditorium.
feels like an auditorium. Honest to God, it does. Bruins, Rangers, Avalanche, Columbus, Ottawa, Vegas. I mean, he's been around. It's always a running joke. Like, no one ever likes Nick Holden when he's in the city he's in because he's just not that splashy of a player. Makes a few mistakes. He's always usually on the bottom pairing for defensemen, but he's also rock solid in the sense that he's going to be there every single game, going to be reliable. My buddy John Nordahl, shout out. John Nordahl is the coolest hockey jersey collection on the planet, including he's the owner of the Eakin Not a Major jersey from season 2, game 7, round 1. So kind of cool there. But my buddy John loves Nick Holden, so I'm sure he's really happy about this. We texted a little bit about it last night. So anything to help the players and get them ready is a good thing. And why not take someone fresh from their NHL career with nearly 700 games played and let him work with the horsies, get him going.
But he was like a top 4 defenseman early on in his career, and then he faded a little bit.
Of course.
Okay, and I know that Nick Holden will be respected. And in Chicago, something I have to point out, the line, a lot of fans probably forget about this. He was with Zach Whitecloud as a defensive pairing in Chicago. And what were they known for? Solid defense. I think he really helped out to accelerate the growth of Zach what'd I say? Whitecloud. Yeah, I said Whitecloud, right? But
you said Nick Holden in Chicago with Whitecloud?
Yes, correct. They were together on a pairing, and they were known for solid defense, number 1. Number 2, Chris, puck possession. They were a very strong pairing in Chicago, and I think that that's what they're going to be teaching here, some of those basic principles about playing hard defensively. And then also, this will accelerate growth. There's no doubt. And then puck possession is very important for a defenseman.
Yeah, I'm not following Holden in Chicago. I'm confused. Not that that's hard to do.
I think he was down there for a cup of coffee. No,
Boston, Rangers, Golden Knights, no Chicago. Hockey DB could be wrong. I don't know, but I get what you're going for.
I think he went down. He was down there for a minute. Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying about Holden and what he can teach everybody on the Golden Knights.
Are you saying I was wrong? I can't be wrong.
Yes.
Oh, hockey season must be fast approaching. You're right.
It's all good. But the point is, what can Nick Holden bring to the Golden Knights organization as a whole, and how to be a professional? That's the first foremost thing. He has been around. He hasn't had one of these careers where he plays with 1 or 2 NHL teams his entire career, and it's nice and easy going. He's played with a total of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 different teams, plus multiple AHL organizations. So that right there is something that can be passed on to the younger players, especially the ones that are developing in the AHL, but maybe they've been there for a few years and like, okay, how can I take that next step? And that's something where Nick Holden can hopefully help out. Highest marks for Nick Holden as a human being, everyone that's ever interacted with him, nothing but positivity. And I actually didn't really talk to him, but we were walking, me and my son love exploring, like he likes walking around the strip and stuff like that before the games. So one day we walked right by in the middle way between like the old Monte Carlo and Aria, Nick Holden and Brady Tkachuk walk right by us. And I'm like, oh, hi, and kind of nodded, one of those moments. So anyway,
you didn't call him Holdy, I hope.
No.
I don't like
I
that
just
nickname. That
smiled.
just sounds kind of weird.
Is that
Nick
his nickname? It's not his nickname.
Holdy.
Is it?
I call him.
I mean, I know that's how the
I
hockey
call him
nicknames work, but I don't
Holden
like. I don't
Knights.
know.
I just call him Holden Knights. I've been doing that for
Holden
ages.
Knights, Mark Stowaway. What else you got, Tony?
Oh, we've got them all. Vegas Bjorn. Okay, it is hockey season, and Nick Holden. Again, 3 seasons here, and then he was part of that deal. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I was wrong a couple of times already today. Evgeny Dodonov, right? He was part of that deal, and he went to the Ottawa Senators. And
Oh, I mean, he went to Ottawa. I
can
don't
we
know
start
about the
spelling
deal, but yeah,
yeah, I
it could
think
be.
he was part of that deal. And I think that we need to start spelling defenseman the Canadian way, like DEFENCEMAN, defense man. We're going to go Canadian on you. But there's some players, in all actuality, that are on the verge of breaking into the NHL for VGK defensemen.
Korczak.
We're talking about, right? You've got Korczak, you've got Lucas Cormier, you have the guy with his name on the cup. We can't forget about Braden Pahal, and then Danel Chayka, right? Am I right about
Yeah, and
all
then
those
also
guys?
Miramanov is obviously had a little more than a cup of coffee with the Golden Knights last year. Injury issues,
Yeah, the
unfortunately.
injury
Otherwise, he would
issues.
have
That's
played
why
a
I
lot
kind of
more.
forgot about him.
Yeah, no, I like Miramanov, and having Nick Holden around in those 700 NHL games, it's going to help. You look at Ryan Craig. Now coach of the Silver Knights. He just finished his career, and then boom, he got tossed behind. I say tossed a little lighthearted, but he got tossed behind the Golden Knights bench, and now he's an AHL coach. So you never know what type of opportunity lies for these guys, and it's nice to see someone with the ties to the Golden Knights coming back. I'm sure Holden's going to have a great time here and call it his home again for hopefully a little while, and see how it goes.
One of my red flags from last season, I just can't forget, again, that Bruce Cassidy says we didn't know who to bring up. I haven't really been paying attention to the Silver Knights. So let's just call down there and
Yes,
see
he's
like who
honest.
they have. Right. But that was a red flag for me because there should be a very tight knit uh, form of communication between both the AHL team and the VGK. There has to be. And I just think that they're putting a lot more emphasis on the Silver Knights. I think that they want to develop players and win at the same time.
I wonder how other teams do handle that, what the relationship is, and what
But it should be
Boston,
better. It's got to be better because they're right down the street.
the AHL
The AHL
affiliate for
team's
the
right here.
Bruins, Providence, right? So that
Providence, I think. Yeah, Providence.
okay.
That sounds about right. Yeah, they're
So,
close.
and there are some other teams around the country where they don't have that luxury where it's close. So I wonder if Cassidy just wasn't necessarily, acclimating himself to the fact that he could literally drive 20 minutes to see a Silver Knights practice. I'm not saying he needs to do that or anything like that. Just simply saying it's a different situation when it's literally in your backyard. And NHL coaches got a lot on their mind too. And, we know about Cassidy's analytical level and in-game adjustments and stuff like that. And, there's only 24 hours in a day. I wish I could find a way to, get a couple extra hours in there, but unfortunately it's against the rules. And, when you're preparing for, so many things, something has to slide. And maybe Cassidy just trusts the coaching staff and the scouts and, what McCrimmon says. I mean, or what McCrimmon tells them to do, but either way. And then they just kind of roll with it like that.
Yeah. Coming up next, Chris likes the signing of Max Comtois to the professional tryout contract.
Love
He
it.
broke down some film, and we take a look at what he observed. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That is why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you a peace of mind so that you are just hoping that you can have access to medication in the case of an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure that you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using Locked On at checkout. And if all you have to do is go to jacemedical.com. That's jacemedical.com, JASE, and use the promo code Locked On. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen. Now coming up each and every day, now through eternity. So we'll be back again on Friday. We'll have our WTF edition. And then starting Monday, it's 5 days a week. We know that you folks just could not get enough of us. So we're going to be on 5 days a week. And the summer break is over for us. I feel like I'm sobbing, dude. I kind of enjoyed the 3 days a week. In any event, no, we'll be here at your beck and call. And I have to give a special shout out, Chris, to all of the frontline workers at MGM Resorts.
Oh my God.
I was at Aria yesterday, and there's not enough wine that they could, pass along to their guest that will keep them, quieted down. And yes, it's frustrating, and we know with the cyber attack and all of that, but they are definitely putting up with a lot of nonsense there, and we are definitely with all of you. So just a quick story here. So my client goes to check in at Aria, loves the place. We have business partners there and everything. And so he goes to check in, obviously early in the morning. His room is not ready. They don't even know if they have a room ready. They don't know what the inventory of the rooms is. And I was reading someone had tweeted out that there's people that are checking into rooms that are already occupied. They don't know which rooms are empty. So when you are walking out of Aria, at every single exit, they have folks that are stationed that are asking you, Chris, hey, did you check out of the hotel? If so, what was your room number? I mean, and they've had to put up with a lot. So
it's
shout out to all the
and
frontline folks there, MGM Resorts International. They've done a heck of a job. They really have kept their cool under these really difficult circumstances.
It's a new world, I guess, with all these different ways to go after businesses now. It's just remarkably not in a good way.
I know that you want someone to hack into here so that you put a new co-host on with you, I'm sure.
I don't need to hack. All I got to do is make a call.
Okay. So we want to talk about, and I have to call him by his official first name, Maxime Comtois. Just 24 years old, arrived in Vegas early in the. I'll come up with something if he makes the team.
He's making the team.
Maxie, just put a Y at the end of it. So he signed the contract there, tryout contract this week. And does he have a chance to actually make the opening day roster, number one?
Yeah.
And I know that yesterday I read your story on Plug, Vegas Hockey Now, that you believe he has a strong upside, Chris.
Yeah, so let's just kind of start by talking about Kelly McCrimmon for a second. Chandler Stevenson, Nick Waugh, Mike Amadio. There's a few more, but those are definitely the first players that come to mind. Players that when the deal got made, when the trades or the acquisition happened, we're like, okay, cool. I mean, Chandler Stevenson, you look at his stats when he was a member of the Capitals to when he came to Vegas, and dude got shot out of a cannon, became a 60-point. I think his last 3 seasons are like 59, 60, and 61, or 62, 60, whatever it is. He's been a 60-point player for the Vegas Golden Knights. You look at Nick Waugh. Nick Waugh has a lot of upside, but he's been, I don't want to say stuck on that fourth line, but that's been his role with the team. Nick Waugh's points definitely could go up a little bit if they do decide to shift him somewhere differently in the lineup. You look at Mike Amadio, who was basically thrown aside by the LA Kings and wound up being a really an integral part of the playoffs for the Golden Knights. So now here comes the Golden Knights' really only acquisition from the outside. And if you go on the Vegas Hockey Now article, you don't got to read the article. Just click on the YouTube video that's embedded in the article and watch the goals that Comtois scores. He's got the ability. He's got a nice shot from in close to finish. He's a good finisher.
Mm-hmm. He's
big, and he goes to the dirty areas. Something that I observed in a lot of my post games when I was down there doing the interviews and stuff like that from Cassidy. If things are going well, he will credit the forwards for getting behind the other team's defense. A lot of times when the Golden Knights have a bad game, he will discredit the Golden Knights forwards for not getting behind the other team's defense. Comtois can get behind the other team's defense. Now, is it maybe a stretch that he does make the opening day roster? Maybe or maybe not. He's hungry, and now we have some internal competition. And now we're really going to see what Howden, Dorofeev, Cotter, and Amadio are made of, because now you basically have the five of them vying for 3 forward positions in the Golden Knights lineup. And, the temperatures got turned up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I just, again, when we talked about Comtois last week on the show, I said that he was in the early days. I just remember him as a VGK killer because he had in the span of 8 games, he had 6 goals and he had 2 assists, 6 goals. That would have been like they would have welcomed the 6-goal season last year in Anaheim, last couple of years. So that's what I recall about his game. And then he faded away because it had to be difficult. System was not very good. At least it didn't fit his skill set in Anaheim. And I just think he's going to be much better here. This is a much better fit for him. And he's around a lot of talent with VGK. And that competition, like you mentioned, with 4 or 5 players there for 3 spots, that is going to make this team better in the preseason. Well, the one day of preseason camp.
Right, exactly. You look at, I had a point coming, I had something coming.
When you look at
it's coming.
It's coming, it's going.
Let's look.
Do we have it?
Okay, so yeah,
When
I got
you
it.
look at,
All right,
when you
so
look at,
we're good. So when
coffee,
Kelly
more coffee,
McCrimmon, I should. So when I asked Kelly McCrimmon at the Stanley Cup Media Day specifically about what they wanted, why did the team target Jack Eichel? Just beyond his skill set, like what was it about him? And one of the things that McCrimmon said in the answer was when they're looking at players, it's not just about how good are they or what have they done in the past and what is their ceiling and stuff like that, but they look at the Golden Knights locker room before they bring these players in, and are the right players already here to help them. Now, someone like Jack Eichel, obviously, you have to handle a little bit differently, than obviously Max Comtois. That's just, the nature of the game. Jack Eichel's a superstar. Comtois is basically trying to stay in the NHL. So you don't got to move a lot of pieces around. But the point being is you still consider what's in the locker room and what someone can learn from. The Golden Knights are right up against the salary cap, 800 something thousand. They got a couple players that they can, I think, just start in the AHL once, but I don't think they're going to be fully waiver eligible. So there's so few moves the Golden Knights can do right now. So the one shot that McCrimmon had, really the one shot to fire, they look for someone with upside that can help, that might be able to grow within the Golden Knights locker room. And you look at, it's not even just about now. Let's just say he does get a 2 AHL contract. Okay, fine. He'll develop in the AHL for a while and then bounce around a little bit. Maybe another year from now, maybe Nick Holden will teach him to become a better defensive forward. There you go, Tony. And then all of a sudden, a year or two from now is really when Comtois makes his mark known. Either way, it's a good signing all around. Nothing but upside. I don't think there's a whole lot of dirt on Comtois as far as not being good in the locker room. We haven't heard anyone talking about it. So, we'll see. And at the least, I hope it's going to lead to some internal competition in training camp as Comtois basically tries to fit in.
And that training camp, aforementioned, will start a week from today, I believe. I think that will be the first day
Crazy.
of VGK reporting next week. And of course, this weekend, we've got the rookie face-off here in our own backyard.
I'll be there at some point. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit any of the Dollar Loan Center games or the city games,
cameo.
but I'm going to be there at some point.
No. I saw you in the chat room. You said you'll make a cameo, and the fans, it's much anticipated, man.
No.
Coming up next, which 5 teams that missed the playoffs last season would we say have a chance of making the playoffs this season? We'll start our discussion coming up next right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure to subscribe, to sub, as they say, right? Is that what you say? Okay. To sub to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. You can find us, of course, on X at TD Chris G. That's him. I am at Tony Dasco. And of course, we are at Locked On VGK, where you can get a ton of information each and every day. So why did I come up with this topic on my napkin yesterday while sitting at New York, New York?
Awesome.
I don't know. I know. I'm so random. Why did we come up with this topic? So Gary Bettman basically doesn't want to mess with the current NHL playoff structure or add more teams. His reasoning was, I read something over the winter. He said that on the average, 5 new teams each season qualify for the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs the previous year. So when we look at all of these moves during the offseason, Chris, I said, let's just come up with a list, each of us, and we haven't discussed this, and you didn't send a napkin message back to me. The 5 teams that we feel that didn't make the playoffs, didn't qualify
random
last
sticky notes
season.
around my house or my
I
office
love
for my
those.
notes and stuff.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, you need to start posting them.
It's people that owe me money, but that's okay.
I saw dollar signs there. 5 teams that didn't make the playoffs last season that we feel could be there this season. So how do you want to do this? You want to just start firing?
Fire a couple teams. I'll give you a couple teams and we'll have an exit.
Okay, so I've got the Detroit Red Wings. I have Detroit. Alex Lyon, JT Compher, Kyler Yakamoto,
Patrick Kane,
Clem Costin, Daniel Sprung, who played for Seattle, and of course your guy, DeBrincat. I think that's enough said on why they're going to make the playoffs this year.
President Nick Lidstrom basically guaranteed they're going to make the playoffs, whatever that means. So we'll see there. All right.
Do you have them on your list? Do you have them on your list, Detroit?
I don't know. I don't know if I got a list. I'm just kind of going here. I mean, the Pacific, I don't see anything changing, first of all.
No,
I don't think anyone.
I was digging in the Pacific. There's no one on the perimeter.
Anaheim could be sneaky this season. That's the only thing. But I don't see them making. I don't see him. I wouldn't put him on a list of 5. They could be sneaky, but I don't put them on a list of 5.
Okay.
Now without Comtois, maybe they're not going to make it now. From the Central, I like the Nashville Preds. I like the changes they've made. Duchesne obviously got bought out, and Trotz just started signing anyone and everyone. So I think that could be possibly the lone. I mean, maybe Arizona surprises some teams, as goofy as that sounds. They got such a good young core. Now you bring Matt Dumba in there to help a little bit. So that team could do a little bit better. In the East, I think this is a layup. The Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah. Riley Smith, sure. Erik Karlsson. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, you're going to see who's the GM that they just the new guy,
Kyle Dubas.
Dubas. He'll be out quicker than Gerard Gallant and Pete DeBoer in Vegas.
And so, I have Pittsburgh with Karlsson. They have him projected for 97 points this season. Riley Smith. They added Ryan Graves, Noel Acciari, Matt Nieto. They did a good job of building a solid. Well, they added a lot to the blue line there. And so maybe Nick Holden, that could be his next stop as an assistant defensive coach there. I also have on my list, what about the Buffalo Sabres there? Sabres they finished just 1 point, right, away from the playoffs. Oh, back to Pittsburgh. That was the first season in 17 years that they did not make the playoffs. I think they'll be back in the mix this year. They could be maybe a top 3 team in their division. First
time, I think, in the Ovi Crosby era, one of them was not in the playoffs, too. That's another crazy way to look at it, which goes even
a crazy stat
back. So Buffalo, I mean, the goalie situation is the one thing that really stands out there. You got a lot of talent. You look at the forwards, obviously you're going to start with Tuck and, what Tage Thompson did, and then Dylan Cousins, Jeff Skinner. We can go on and on and on about all the talent that they have there. And their defense is okay too. Not great, but it's getting a lot better. The Atlantic is going to be super competitive. I mean, there's a path where possibly all but the Montreal Canadiens, 7 teams you can make a case are going to qualify. I mean, the Bruins might slow down a little bit, but they've obviously gone through a lot of change. So I'm with you on Buffalo. And I think you hit Ottawa already.
No, I did not.
We didn't hit Ottawa. I'm sorry. That's right, because
No,
they lost to Brinket. So
they're in there. Yeah, but
Tim
they have
Stützle,
Tarasenko
Josh.
now.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about Tarasenko. Geez, you got Stützle, you got Josh Norris, you got Tarasenko. You got a lot of great players on the defensive side. So yeah, I mean, Ottawa would certainly be my fifth team, and just maybe I don't got a napkin right now. Maybe tomorrow's second segment, 5 teams that will not make the playoffs.
That made the playoffs this year.
That will not make it. Made the playoffs last year. Will not make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Maybe we'll go the other way around if we
have, like, or we're going to try to plan a show a day out. Like, there's going to be.
We're going to do it. We're going to take our viewers' time and plan a show. That's how we're going to do this. Like right now.
All right, that might be in our WTF segment. If it might get moved.
So I just got two segments planned. Yes.
What was the other one?
Ottawa. I don't know. I thought I said 5.
Okay.
When we say Ottawa.
No. What's the other? What's your second segment? You said what? 2 seconds.
Oh, I don't know. We got to do a lead segment, but I got.
Oh, it's a rookie face-off.
We're going even longer now. We're going even longer. So I got a WTF because I'm taking our viewers' time planning a show, and then I planned a segment. So see,
I like that, and we appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. I got. Oh man, I have a. Maybe we'll run with this tomorrow, but I've got a rumor where there was a Robin Leonard sighting, and this is from the same cat that sent me a photo of Pacioretty when he had the cast, the first day that he had a cast on his foot, because he saw him out there in Summerlin. And
playing a beer league game at City National or LVIC.
We get some serious stuff here. So we do have a lot of contacts, and they do send us some interesting stuff. And maybe we'll run with that tomorrow. But there's been
contact. This is all Tony's world. No one tells me anything.
So we appreciate everyone tuning in every day. Or shout out to all of you. And of course, tomorrow's WTF. What the stinking Friday. And we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. And then next week, it's Monday through Friday and back to biz. For my man, Chris Golick, I am Tony Cardasco. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.